guys, Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today with a ship with me. These are all orders that came through over the weekend. Kind of a weird weekend of sales here. I'm filming this on the day after Easter, and like holiday weekends are always a little strange with sales. In my experience, they're either like super busy or super slow or like weird things move. So this holiday weekend was no exception, and it's kind of interesting because I cleared out a lot of like old inventory this week. So this video will be just as much like maybe like what not to buy as well as it is like what to buy. And to be honest, that information is often like just as valuable as knowing what to buy is knowing what to not pick up. But before we get started here today, guys, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia, that is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. So if that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. Without further ado, guys, it's late in the afternoon. As per usual, I need to get these things wrapped up and over to the post office. So why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipment. Some really interesting stuff to talk about this week, guys. First thing that sold was this adorable little sweater tank from Zara. Now, I've had this for a little bit of a while, and this was totally a style pickup. It's a little bit on the like less significant side of Zara, which I don't necessarily like to pick up, but I just thought it was so cute that I did. Now, I guess I did get it kind of in the dead of winter, so I'm not super surprised that it's selling now, but I had a lot of like extreme lowball offers on it, like $5. But either way, this is also something that I had a lot of offers that never popped through on Depop. This ended up popping through as a sale on Curtsy, which I do use. Sounds like they're still like really working on building up their audience, and it's a real low investment if you are in the process of like building up your cross listing. You can literally just feed your Poshmark closet straight to Curtsy. So it's super easy, keeps updated about once a day. The only thing is that if you're using a cross lister like Vendu, like I use, that has the sale detection, you're gonna have to kind of babysit it because it doesn't have sale detection, of course, on Curtsy. I don't know if there's any cross-listing service that lists directly to Curtsy just yet, though I wouldn't be surprised if that's coming down the road at some point as they grow and grab some market share. Either way, I had this listed for about 4 months, and I had it listed for $24, and I got an offer for $19, which I did accept over on Curtsy with a $1 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $12.13. So it is so cute. Again, I was getting tons of lowball offers, so I might be adjusting my like Zara criteria in terms of picking up. You know, that's just not something that fits into what I can do. Like, I can't be operating at high volume and low margins. I just don't have the space to do that. So anyway, just bring you into this part of my process, and hopefully it's helpful for you as you are outsourcing. Next up, on the opposite end of the spectrum, this is from J. Peterman. And guys, thank you so much to anybody who watched my haul where I picked this up. I was telling you all how I never knew that J. Peterman was a real company. I thought it was just a made up thing for Seinfeld, because I think it was Elaine that worked for J. Peterman writing the descriptions. And at some point I had taken a job, and the person whose job I took got the catalog. And I remember it landing on my desk being like, oh my God, it's real. And the descriptions are just as crazy and ridiculous as you would expect for something to be kind of lampooned on Seinfeld. And guys, all of you came in and told me that you had the exact same experience. I thought for some reason that I was just kind of like naive to it, right? Alas, I was not alone. Either way, J. Peterman, I think we have ourselves a little bit of a bolo on our hands. They make very kind of like old-timey clothes, right? Like this is what's called a poet's shirt. And it's like a popover style, and it's got kind of like oversized sleeves. And I believe this is a men's shirt. The one example I was citing was like when I first opened the catalog for the first time, the thing that I saw for sale was a deer trapper hat, which if you're unfamiliar with a deer trapper hat, that's like what Sherlock Holmes wears with like the two brims. And I just remember reading the description being like, this is amazing. So here we are. And this is the first piece I've ever found, and it sold pretty quickly. So I had it listed for just 3 weeks, and I had it listed for $48. Their stuff tends to go for a pretty good price. And I got an offer for $40, which I did accept with a $2 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $28.95. So I hope they love it. Again, a brand to be on the lookout for. I don't know how much you're gonna find it. It does look like the company is still in business and the prices are still pretty high. So if you see it, I would comfortably pay up for it. Like I said, I think we've got a little baby bolo on our hands. Next up, now these are from Young, Fabulous, and Broke. And while I've slowed up picking up on certain things from Young, Fabulous, and Broke, their Tencel wide leg pants, this is like the third pair I've sold in a couple months that has sold pretty quickly for a great price. As a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure that all three of them sold for full price. And the quality on them is really nice. Like Young, Fabulous, and Broke is pretty expensive. I'm pretty sure that they're sold at Revolve. And anything I've ever found from them has been really nicely made. Like really nice textiles, really nicely finished. Also, fun fact, I remember going back to the early 2000s, are we ready for a nostalgia moment? I definitely remember there was a show called The Millionaire Matchmaker with this lady, Patty Stanger. She was a riot, and the founder of Young, Fabulous, and Broke was one of her clients. That was like the first time I ever heard of this brand, so you never know where you discover these things, I swear. Let me know if you remember The Millionaire Matchmaker, because that show was so of an era. It was so of that era. Anyway, I had these listed for just 1 month and I had them listed for $42 and they popped through as a full price sale. So always happy when that happens. These were an eBay sale, if memory serves me right. I'm trying to remember, guys. These were an eBay sale, and with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $30.82. It's funny, I like hemmed and hawed before I started to have this little tear on those pants over picking those up, because again, I'm like slowing up on picking up the brand as a whole, but not anymore, guys. Obviously take into consideration like styles of the moment, but those pants have sold very, very well for me. Next up, another pair of pants. These are from J. Jill. And this was something, I pride myself on keeping my inventory pretty tidy. And somehow, some way, I had bought these a while ago and had never listed them. I don't know if they just accidentally got mixed up with a pile that was going back to donation or what the case was, but I found them in a pile of things that were going to donation, and I'm like, wait a second, these are like linen blend J. Jill wide leg striped trousers. Like this is all day, this is a summer staple. I pulled them out, I listed them, and they sold really quickly. So just goes to show, guys, if you have a death pile and you're totally intimidated by it, which respect, I 100% can understand that. Even if you have a death pile, at least once, my recommendation to you is at least once a season, right before spring starts, right before summer starts, right before fall starts, right before winter starts. Go through that death pile and pull out the things, like just being realistic with yourself that you're not gonna get through the whole death pile. Pull out the things that are relevant to the season you are coming into. Like I'm a big fan of bite-sized chunks of dealing with overwhelming tasks, and just go through it and say, all right, this looks like a winter sweater, let's get this listed now. And you do this at the end of fall, right? Just a couple times a year, and before you know it, you'll make some good business of it. You can also, if you need to break it down a little bit more, maybe you do pants today, you do sweaters tomorrow, you do shirts, whatever works for you. But if you're ever sitting there and you're staring at a death pile, or you're staring at a completely overwhelming task, because we all have them. We all have something that has been hanging over our heads for years and years and years that we just don't even know where to start with. Bite-sized chunks, just a little bit, and have an end to it, right? So say like, once I pull out 5 things for fall today, I'm done. That way you can feel accomplished, you check something off of your list. It's like, these are all little mental tricks, but they work. I swear they work. At least for me, hopefully they work for you. I am a lister. I like live and die by my list. Either way, these were great little pants, perfect bread and butter little piece to have. I wish I knew how they ended up in that pile, because this is certainly not anything that I would have put in there myself. Anyway, I had these listed for just 3 weeks. I had them listed at $28. I got an offer for $24, which I did accept. With a $2 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $20.96, another eBay sale. So they love them. Again, perfect little summer staple. Next up, now this is something that I've had for a long time, and I'll tell you, I've had it on the chopping block 2 or 3 times. This is from Cobby. I think this is an older Cobby label, and I've learned quite a bit about Cobby since I picked this up, and I've gotten a little bit better. I do still pick up select pieces from them, but I've kind of developed the kind of spidey sense to figure out like which pieces are probably in demand. You know, in general, at this point, I'm only picking up newer label, and again, usually more unique pieces. This is obviously like a great staple. And to be clear, like the quality on this is fantastic, but I think the thing to remember with Cobby is that when you get into something that's a little bit more in demand, it's gonna be a more unique piece. I don't think that they remake things, so the whole demand is that, you know, if it sells out, you're done, you can't get it. So you're just keeping your eyes out for those pieces that look and feel a little bit more special. So Cobby is direct sales for the most part, although some of you have said that you have Cobby storefronts in your malls, which is interesting. So again, it's one of those companies that does have a little bit of a cult following, but there's just gonna be certain pieces that have high demand. Obviously, this is not one of them. I have literally had this, I go through every, you know, probably month or so, and I look at my inventory and I'm like, all right, what can I pull out? Because again, my inventory storage is finite. And if I'm realizing that something isn't gonna sell for a ton and it's been around for a year or two, like, you know, I'll move it on. I'll redonate it. If it's something that might go to like buy, sell, trade, I'll take it to buy, sell, trade. But this has been on the chopping block more than once. So this one I had for over a year. I wanna say I had it for like a year and 4 months. And strangely, I had lowered the price once or twice throughout the year, and I ended up having it listed for $28, and it did pop through as a full price sale, so there's that. And with the $1 cost of the bins, it's brought me to a profit of $21.40. And just kind of like an interesting note, especially if you are unfamiliar with Cobby or you're just getting started and you're seeing this brand and you don't really know what the deal is. If you can, do a Google image search of the items that you find and try to find the item number, because if somebody is seeking out that specific item, chances are they know what they're looking for and they know the item number, and that's one of the things that they're going to use to search for. I'm gonna guess, since this sold as a full price sale, that it was somebody looking for that jacket specifically. So here we are. Next up, another one that I had for quite a while, and this is from Joe's Jeans. And to be totally honest, the only reason I picked this up is because this is 100% linen jersey, which linen jersey is the best. This is absolutely not something that I would pay more than bins prices for, if that, depending on your bins location. But again, like a linen t-shirt is a linen t-shirt, and it will always have some value just based on the actual knit, but you know, for the most part, you're looking at like maybe $15 max, if there's nothing else like super special about it, or it's a really, really high-end brand. Joe's is one of those brands that's like, I always forget how expensive it is, because it is pricey. This was probably, I'm gonna say probably somewhere north of $60, $70, but it just doesn't resell in accordance to its retail price. Quality is great. Again, if you are a shopper and you're looking for some really great high-quality jeans, high-quality basics, check out Joe's on the second-hand market. I always like to think about those things as like a double-edged sword, where they're not great for us as sellers. If you're a buyer, they're great for you as a buyer. You know, I think about like Eileen Fisher in that way, where I love to sell Eileen Fisher, but you know, a lot of people will see that this was like originally a $300 shirt and they'll hope that they're getting, you know, $70, $80 to $100 for it. And you're not gonna get that for Eileen Fisher. And you'll still make a good profit on it, especially if you can source it inexpensively. But as a buyer, Eileen Fisher on the secondhand market is aces. And to be sure, if you can source it at the right price, as a seller, it's aces as well. Either way, I had this listed for about 9 months. Didn't have a ton of action on it. Probably not something that I'll pick up again, unless I'm really getting it inexpensively. And I had it listed for $23 with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $12.05. So I hope they love it. It's in perfect condition. It is a linen t-shirt, which is amazing. And if you have not ever bought yourself a linen t-shirt for the summer, may I urge you to do so. I don't care if you buy it secondhand or if you buy it new, whatever the case may be, just like feel what linen jersey feels like against your skin and thank me later. Next up, another one that I had a really long time, and another one that was on the chopping block a few times. So this is from a brand called Mermaid, which is an Anthropologie brand. I do think that this was an extra small. Yeah, this is an extra small, which I think was probably the biggest reason that it took so long to sell. And I had it like up for kind of redonation, but like, look at this. It's so pretty. It's got like little mirror details on the sleeve. It's stunning. Like, this top is absolutely stunning. So I ended up keeping it. I just kept keeping it because I knew eventually somebody that wanted this at the right size was going to want this. This was one of those ones that I stuck to my guns. Now, if it was that basic t-shirt after about a year and it was an extra small and all those things were kind of going against it, it would have been redonated. But this is a special top. This, to me, like, every time I look at this just looks like the Greek islands. You know what I'm saying? Like, that right there is the essence of the Greek islands. The white and the blue and the florals and the light gauzy cotton. Oof. But this is one that I had for over a year as well. I did have a lot of interest in this though. So this is kind of unlike the other pieces where they just kind of sat until they sold. This did have interest shown in it. I'm guessing it was because it's very like, it's form fitted on top. So it's not like an easy breezy shirt that has some leeway in terms of the fit, right? Either way, I had this listed for over a year and I had it listed for $24. Again, something I had lowered the price on, I think once or twice. And I got an offer for $21, which I did accept. I was happy to be moving this on with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $19.67. And oh, I hope she loves it. Maybe she's got a trip to the Greek islands in her future. Let's hope. Let's imbue this with that energy. All right, next up here. Oh, this one is so pretty. This is one that my mom found. This is absolutely hand knit mohair vintage little sweater vest in the most beautiful icy blue. And it's mohair and maybe alpaca. I think it's a blend of the two. It's a really like special knit. This was such a good find on her part. She actually found, it was one of the trips that I went home, she had a whole bunch of these hand knit sweaters. And I think that this is the last of the batch. And this one was priced the highest just because of what it was, like the yarns. And I had so much interest in this over the time that I had it. So definitely one of the things that I will be always keeping my eyes out for forever. There's just always a good market for hand knit sweaters. Either way, I had this one listed for about 4 months and I had it listed for $44. Again, lots of looks on it, lots of likes on it, lots of questions on it. This is a really cool piece. And again, so I had it listed for $44 and I got an offer for $35, which I did accept with a $1 cost of the bins. This brought me to a profit of $27.23. And this probably cost a little bit less than $1 as this was found on those East Coast bins, but what a gorgeous little vintage piece. Next up, we've got a cute little 4-piece bundle, and I think this is actually going to one of you guys, and she's bought from me before, and every time her bundles are so like refined, and I don't know how else to say it. First piece she picked up is this cute little Natural Life kimono. This is brand new with tags in this ultra light petal pink, obviously one of the colors of the season. It's got these really pretty florals printed in this like light sagey green. So, so pretty. Natural Life is one of those brands that is more expensive than you think it is. And it sells really, really well for me. Some of the pieces aren't necessarily like a big dollar sell, but they do sell quick, almost universally. I've only had like 1 or 2 pieces that have kind of hung around. And to be totally honest, they feel very like different from what I usually see from Natural Life. The next piece she picked up are these amazing pants. Now these are from Connie's Moonlight, and I found these in a little cache of, you know, kind of login look separates. And I think this is the last piece. This is the last piece to sell. And honestly, it's only been like 3 weeks, I think, since I listed them. But the cool thing about these, look at the hems. This piece and the next piece I'm going to show you are very much like from afar, they look very normal and classic, but when you get up close, there's like some interesting detail. You see that little gather there? That's on the inside of the leg. So when you're wearing them, it gives it a little bit of an interesting play on volume. Love these pants. And if they were my size, there is not a chance I wouldn't have sold them. They're also 100% linen. Next up, now this is one that I've had for a while, and I think it just doesn't photograph as special as it is. The brand on this is La Fée Marabouté. I'm probably butchering that name. At just a glance, it looks like a knit button-down shirt. But when you look closer, it's really interesting. Like, it's mixed media. There's like 4 or 5 different kinds of fabric. Like, that's a knit sweater. This is ribbed. and then it's got 2 different kinds of collar. Like, it's so interesting. And I know that this brand is very expensive, but it's just, again, like, unless somebody is really looking at the pictures, they're not necessarily gonna pick up how special this top is. Look up close at that neckline. Isn't that, oh, it's so cool. So cool. And then the final piece she picked up is this gorgeous Irish linen button-down sleeveless top. This is from a brand called Edward. Irish linen is like an always buy for me, no matter what. I 100% knew that this would be a fairly quick sell, despite the fact that it's a pretty small size. It's just such a timeless piece. This gives me very much like Katharine Hepburn. I don't know how to describe it, like the silhouette of it. It's got like this kind of band across the back that cinches it in a little bit. It's just so classic. This is one of those tops that will never, ever, ever be out of style. And that is the bundle there. Some, again, really interesting classic pieces with a little bit of a twist on them. So definitely some interesting pieces here. Now, the total bundle cost was $146, and then with my discount, it would have been $124. She offered $100, which I did accept. With a $7 total cost at the bins on all of these pieces, has brought me to a profit of $73 even. Oh, I hope you love these. That Lafie shirt, I love that shirt. That is so like right up my alley. Something that looks classic from afar, but then when you get up close, you can see the kind of artistry to it. Like, yes, please. Next up is this super fun 80s vintage little leopard print slip. I can like see the woman that wore this, you know, in the 80s. You know that hair was teased to the gods. There may or may not have been a Virginia Slim cigarette involved, you know? Do you remember those? Do they still exist? Anybody out there smoke? Do you know if Virginia Slims are still around? I remember seeing the ads for like Virginia Slims and I think it was Capris in the old like fashion magazines. My, how times have changed. But this is so fun. I mean, anything vintage, satin, leopard print, I'm probably gonna pick it up as long as the price is right. Obviously not something that I would pay up for, but at a bins price, absolutely. Especially if you're getting this at a bins that pays by the weight, because this thing would have cost 10 cents, you know? Someday I'd love to go to a bins location that charges by weight and just see how much silk I can get and how little I can pay for it, you know? You think about those like little silk camisoles that weigh less than an ounce. You're getting 10 of those for $1.99, you know? In fact, let me know. This is a fun little thing. Let me know of all the things that you've ever sourced, if you are somebody who sources from a bins location. What is the most expensive thing that you've gotten at the bins that you think weighed the least? Did you find like a Christian Dior silk slip dress and pay like 75 cents for it? Let me know. That's super fun, and now I'm thinking about what mine might have been. I'll think on it, but let me know yours. I can assure you it was not this. At least we can write this one off of the list. So anyway, I had this listed for about 7 months and I had it listed for $24. My sidekick sent an offer for $20, which was accepted. With a $1 cost of the bins, this brought me to a profit of $15 even. I hope she loves it. It is so fun. I don't know if this is going to be worn as like a dress or as like a costume, but either way, I'm happy. Next up, we've got 2 more and they're kind of in the same vein. This is a gray flannel robe from Polo Ralph Lauren. And this was kind of an experiment because I had not really picked up a lot of Polo at the time that I got this. And I really haven't had it for that long. I think I only listed it like a month ago. Now, to be clear, I actually don't see a ton of this in my locations. I know that there are a couple of guys that do, you know, this is kind of their bread and butter. So they are constantly picking this stuff up and I often don't get my hands on it. But this, I'm like, okay, it's a robe, it's a pretty significant piece, it's in great shape. So let's give it a try. Again, I never know what to do with these belts, I swear. And for the most part, it looks like most of this stuff is in the bread and butter category. I know that there are certain sweaters that go well into the 200s. I think there's like a flag sweater in particular that people are always looking for. And to be clear, like Polo Ralph Lauren stuff is made beautifully. So even if you are not a seller and you're a buyer, again, keep your eyes out for this stuff on the secondhand market because it is very expensive retail. I want to say that this was probably $170 to $200 new. And that's a high price for a robe. As a certified robe aficionado, that's a very high price for a robe. Not that I wouldn't pay it for the right robe. I live in my robes, I wear them until they fall apart, and I will pay literally any price for the right robe. There are certain things I do not skimp on, and robes are one of them, but it's a high price. And most people are not like me in terms of my budget for robes. But anyway, I had this listed for $34 and I had it listed for just under a month. That's about what I was seeing kind of sold comps for, and it popped through as a full price sale. So there we go. I don't know how much more I'm gonna see of this, but if I see another, polo robe, the bins, I'll for sure be picking it up. I don't know if I'd be paying $10 for it. They're kind of bulky, so paying up and having something that's super bulky, not a combination I like to do. But anyway, popped through as a full price sale with a $2 cost of the bins has brought me to a profit of $31.20. Hope he loves it. Again, $170, $200 for something like this. All day. Check the secondhand market. And finally, now I knew that this wasn't gonna last long. As soon as I had my use in for this robe, I got it listed, and it's this beautiful tulle feather trim robe. So ridiculous. I mean, you cannot leave these things behind. There are versions of this robe that are in the multiple hundreds of dollars. You'll see some that are silk chiffon, so much money. Now this isn't the cheapest version, I don't think. I wanna say that this one probably retailed about $100. There are some that are cheaper. There are certainly some that are much more expensive. This is gonna be fun, give me a minute. This is like wrangling a Muppet, I swear to God. I don't know. This might be one of the most difficult things I've ever had to attempt to fold. And I'm gonna say attempt because it still doesn't look great. And that drives me nuts. I like my stuff to be tidy when I ship it. At the very least, this will like contain things in the box. But how fun. I mean, I literally, like when I found this, I was actively looking for these things to buy. So on occasion, the thrift gods deliver. Anyway, I had this listed for just 3 days and I had it listed for $40. I was expecting to get between $30 and $40 for it. And I got an offer for $35.70, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins has brought me to a profit of $27.77. I hope she absolutely loves it. This thing is so ridiculous and so fabulous. Like, what I want is a life where I can wear something like that on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? Is that too much to ask? But that is it, guys. That is the shipment for today. Some interesting stuff, right? We cleared out some old items, but there were some lessons learned here, right? And again, learning what not to pick up is often just as important as learning what to pick up. But I appreciate you guys hanging with me while I literally get my work done. It is always so fun to have somebody to yak with and nerd out about some of these things while I'm doing this. So guys, if you had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. I'd love to have you along on this journey. But without further ado, guys, I hope you have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you all in the next one.